Hey, what is going on everybody, and welcome to Fantasia. For today, we're going to be jumping into another session of Epic 7 now today. Got some more content update for you guys. Now, jumping into this here, I just want a disclaimer. My voice has been declining lately. Just been losing my voice because we went back to school from Thanksgiving break, and I had to yell at a bunch of kids. But hopefully, I'll be recovering in the next couple of days, right? But what we're here to cover today is an elegy for a dying flame. Now, if that sounds familiar to you, it's because Deanne's original side story was called A Eulogy for a Saint. Now, this side story is actually going to cover Deanne from another world, right? We've had the 6th world before our current 7th world that debuted earlier this year in April, and now we're going to be following Deanne on this side story, like where she is in this world, right? And all the characters that are associated with her. What's amazing about this update is that it contains a bunch of new content and a bunch of new changes, and we're going to cover all of those changes today in this video, and I am here to condense all of the information that Epic 7 has put out for us into one easily digestible video. So if you like that and you want to see more content like that, do be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out. But before we dive into all of the news and content here, I do want to give you guys a code that you should definitely redeem as soon as possible. E7 Hakate 1218_gift. You can go down to the pinned comment where I have the code that you can copy and a link directly to the E7 coupon redemption page where you can go ahead and cash in on 1,218 energy, a selector chest of either a bottle of knowledge or an unknown slate, which is absolutely amazing, and 10 Molagoras along with 1,000,000 gold. So to begin, for our updates, we actually have an update to the update cycle, which is pretty funny, but here we go. The update adjustment window is now going to go from 2 weeks to 3 weeks, and what they're going to do is they're going to do a 3-week incremental period, where the first 3 weeks is a regular content update, the next 3 weeks is another regular content update, and then the last 3 weeks will be a version update. Now, version updates will be kind of major content updates where we get new episodes, new side stories, new game content, or quality of life improvements. And December 18th is going to be our first glimpse at what a version update is going to look like. So essentially, they're just divvying up these update cycles into chunks to make it so that content's more easily digestible and also content is more predictable, because right now with our 2-week cycle, things are kind of up in the air as to whether it's going to be a big content update or just a new rerun banner. Next up, we have the battle content development direction. So one thing that's been proposed is this modularization of battle content. And with the new 3-week update cycles, they're actually going to implement a 3-week rotation for all of the content that we normally have to do. Things like Automaton Tower, Expeditions, Hall of Trials, Advent, and Trial of the Constellations. So Automaton Tower and Hall of Trials, those are on a 2-week period, right? Expeditions and Trial of Constellations, for example, are on a monthly basis on a rotation, and so all of this stuff is going to be consolidated into 3-week rotations where we don't have to do all of them at once. You'll be doing a small group of them for 3 weeks, and next 3 weeks they'll cycle the content to something else, which should make things a lot more manageable for people and doesn't burn out a lot of players. Now, one main concern that players may have about this is that, wait, but what happens to all the rewards that we would get? We're missing out on so much stuff. And, well, the developers did confirm that we would be getting these same rewards just for less work. Next up, we have narrative content changes. This means more episodes, less side stories, and less Moonlight theaters. I guess the direction that Epic 7 wants to take in is to really flesh out the world, the characters, and continue building on its actual core story rather than going on little tangents and such with little side stories and everything like that. So what they want us to do is actually experience a lot of characters as playable in the story and not just as NPCs, and we'll get to that later as well. As for the rewards though, of course, because we're all concerned about that, mystics from the Moonlight Theater will be transferred so that we can get them from main episodes as well, so as to make sure we don't lose out on those currencies. And also side story rewards are also being adjusted for more modern needs, so I'm assuming that they're not just going to put like random runes and stuff in there, they're going to add more things that we actually want to get, not necessarily just like catalysts and stuff, which a lot of veteran players have like thousands of. All of this and more will be updated in the December 18th update as well. Now, with all of these adjustments here, we are going to be seeing a new episode release, an Elegy for a Dying Flame. This new side episode is to go along with the 5 main episodes, and they are here to really tend to flesh out characters and their stories and really provide us more depth into the world building of Epic 7. So the first one is actually going to feature Aki, the character from Strat Gauntlet, as an heir, and we are going to be introduced to 3 other characters: Shepherd of the Dark Dien, and Monarch of the Sword Assyria. Both of those are going to be ML5s, and we're also going to be introduced to Hecate, who is the unit that's depicted on Sigurd's Scythe. She is going to be a limited Covenant unit, so keep that in mind. Aki is just going to be a regular 5-star unit that should be available, hopefully for free if he's an heir, but hey, who knows, maybe they'll just run him on a quick banner. Next up, we have the episode screen renewal. So with all of these changes to content, Epic 7 decided, hey, let's go ahead and streamline our navigation to allow for all of us players to be more quick and be more intuitive with jumping to what we want to get to, right? So another great feature is that after finishing episode 1, if you're a newer player, you will now immediately be able to access any of the other episodes that are in the game, and you do not have to progress in order, so you can catch up to all the current content immediately. Now, with newer players coming to play this newer content, it's going to be a really big jump in terms of mechanics and difficulty, so Epic 7 is implementing the episode progression heroes. For example, in this upcoming story here, we will be able to use Aki, Shepherd of the Dark Dien, and Hecate for the fights and stuff in the story, right? Which is going to be amazing. Now, the downside to this is that you're actually going to be able to see the skills of these characters before they're officially released, but, you know, the development of these characters might not actually be done yet. Therefore, Epic 7's basically allowing us to have these characters available for use, but they're going to have like unique skill sets that are just for the story. The developer said it's to kind of give the players a feeling of like you're playing a protagonist, so I'm assuming they're going to make them really strong, just really fun to play with cool mechanics and such that are fitting for the story fights and everything. So that's going to be really cool, and then we'll see official units and releases and stuff like that come out in the future, which is also really nice. It also just allows us to kind of enjoy the animations that they've put into the game without necessarily having a kit tied to them just yet. Now, another way that newer players can get help when fighting in these stories and progressing through the game is through the tag system. Now, normally the tag system is when you lose one of your units in a fight and a supporter unit comes in, or if you go into a fight with less than 4 units, the supporter hero will also join your team. But now they're implementing a swap system, so you can actually switch out your character with your supporter whenever the conditions are met in the fight, which is actually really cool. This should hopefully make a lot of fights more interesting as we go forward and start exploring new mechanics that they're going to be implementing, but also hopefully it helps these newer players actually kind of progress, right? You get to use these stronger support heroes if you're friends with more veteran players, which can make your experience much more fun. And one more little detail that they've confirmed is that they will be adding an auto swap feature, so you can turn that on or off to your desire and based on how you want to play the game. So next up, we're going to explore a slew of updates coming to battle content, including things like Hall of Trials, which is our first revamp that we're going to talk about. For Hall of Trials, they determined that players really were just overwhelmed by all the unique mechanics and such and had difficult times making teams. And honestly, the participation rate is really low there because no one really likes the mode. So what they're going to do is try to make it easier for people by creating resonant heroes. These are heroes that are encouraged for people to build teams around. They've also attempted to remove and simplify secondary descriptions and effects to make things easier to read and not make every effect look like a Yu-Gi-Oh card. They're also going to reduce the heavy reliance on manual control so that more people can get rewards. So if you want to go for the top ranking, the top rankings and stuff and compete with people in PvE, you can do that manually. But if you just want to go in there and get your fates and stuff to make sure you can buy exclusive equipments, then you can still auto the content, which is honestly a huge relief to hear. Next on our list of rotating contents, we have the Automaton Tower revamp, where most of the content is actually just based on devices, and what the dev team has confirmed is that they will be removing devices that no one really uses and adding new ones to keep the content fresh. Next, we have our Advent revamp. Now, this mode has been missing in action for like 2 years now, actually, it's ridiculous. But because we have a bunch of new sets here, like the Repose set and the Reversal set, people are in need of more modification gems and easier ways to farm it. Expeditions really isn't that efficient for it. So they are coming out with epic modification gems. And this is really cool because they will always max roll the stat, which is amazing. Not only that, but these stones are not going to be set locked on any gear, right? So if you have a HP percent stone, you can use it on speed set, counter set, whatever have you, and that is going to be amazing. Going down the list, we have Trial of Constellations Season 2. Now, the dev team did confirm that the bosses and mechanics will probably just be staying the same for the most part, but what they're going to be tweaking is the Blessing of the Star effects, because they want to make it so that when you have fully upgraded Blessing of the Stars, that you can actually auto-battle the content, and currently, I believe for the Light and Dark, you're unable to, at least not very consistently, unless you have really specific stats and stuff, so that is good to see and hear, and honestly encourage me to start playing the mode because I pretty much haven't touched it since it got released. And since we're making our way down the list, the next one is the Otherworld Breach update. Now, this one's actually pretty big. Currently, we can farm the Repose set and the Reversal set, but those two sets are going to be moved to Rift for us to farm there. Instead, what's being replaced is the Warfare, the Acceleration, and the Pursuit sets. The Warfare set will increase your HP at the start of the battle, and you start with fully reset cooldowns. The Acceleration set will make it so that whenever someone ends a turn, you increase your speed. And the Pursuit set will increase additional damage that is dealt. This is pretty big because Warfare and Acceleration are both 4-piece sets, so they're kind of like speed and counter sets, where they'll kind of, essentially make up the unit's main set here, but Pursuit set is a 2-piece set, and I don't think there's a limitation to how much damage you can stack here, so you can technically run 3 of these together, which is very scary for fixed damage, but this is really cool to see. I don't know how effective each of these pieces are going to be. We don't know the percentage of the acceleration piece, like how much percent you actually increase your speed by after someone ends their turn, but the Warfare one, guys, Tamarin is about to see some play. Dark Corvus, Laia, Lionheart Sirmia, Fern, any other units that start battles with the cooldowns, like on cooldown, this is gonna be amazing. So I can't wait to see what cool teams and units people build from this. Next thing on the list, guys, is a bunch of equipment updates. So we're finally getting the Arrange Equipment Helper, and this will help us find and recommend plus 15 gears that are safe to discard. They do recommend that you double check the gears though to make sure you're not throwing away something you actually want to use, but apparently they've essentially trained an AI. They've collected a bunch of data from what people tend to sell off and discard and extract, and they're going to use that to recommend gear based on your inventory of what to get rid of. Maybe it's just outdated gear, the gear score's low, it's just not really being used, stuff like that. They're also going to be introducing the Hero Equipment Recommendation. Now, this will recommend gears for your heroes. Now, there is a 2-tier process to this. The first tier will prioritize the units that are using the same slot and set, so if you have a speed set sword, they're going to recommend all the other units that have speed set swords to see who you can put that sword on. The second will actually just recommend heroes that will be good with the equipment in general, regardless of their current gear. So if you have a good counterpiece set and you have a unit that's built on destruction, but it's really good on them, like an Apoc Ravi, let's say, they'll be like, hey, you might want to consider switching these pieces over here, right? So that's actually kind of cool as well. Lastly, when it comes to equipment, we are going to see equipment management improvements, where if you're trying to equip gear to your units, that there will be sliders. The sliders are now going to be broken down even more to 6 stages for more precision and accuracy when you're trying to get certain stat lines for your characters. They've also adjusted the accommodations for first turn heroes and extreme stat builds, as they call it. So if you're trying to build a Renewal, it won't just recommend you like average speed gear, it'll actually prioritize your fastest pieces, for example. And if you're building extreme stat builds like really high resist units like 250, 300 resist units, hopefully they will be able to accommodate those types of stats as well. So with the release of a bunch of new characters on the horizon, including Hecate, Shepherd of the Dark DN, Inheritor of the Flame Amiki, and Monarch of the Sword Assyria, we will be covering each of these units and their previews separately from this video. Currently, I believe only Hecate is live and available to see, but we'll cover that in a video tomorrow, so do stay tuned and subscribe for that. Now, one thing to note with these characters is that when we're playing the side episode, we will start to see environmental skills and other things start applying during combat that damages both allies and enemies. So additional mechanics and such for us to navigate around, which is pretty cool, and I'll add another dimension to this PvE. Now, for the last part of our content update here, we are seeing a bit of improvements to summoning. One of the main ones is that the Covenant Summon will actually start seeing improvements. Nobody ever summons on the Covenant Summon, and nobody even really bats an eye to free summons anymore, honestly, because there's so many characters and you're so RNG, you can never really get what you want. So what they're introducing is a wish list system where you can choose up to 7 5-star heroes and 7 5-star artifacts to put on your wish list. So whenever you do get a 5-star from a Covenant Summon, I think including free summoning events, then you will be guaranteed one of those listed heroes or artifacts, which is really cool. They're also introducing something called a Chronicle bookmark, which is useful for Covenant summons only, and apparently they're going to use that as an incentive for events for new and returning heirs, and to give out during future events. Hopefully us like veteran players will also be able to cash in on this opportunity, and that would be really cool. Just more bookmarks for more summoning, just to get more imprints, right, for all of our characters. And of course, we cannot leave this update without an announcement about the Moonlight Hero Recruitment event. It took them a while to release this one because apparently they were doing a new event interface, but essentially we have the same mechanics as before. One new twist though is that you can recruit up to 4 heroes, and you can re-recruit them until you get the one that you want. By the end of the event, if you don't actually get what you want through all the RNG of the headhunt, then you can actually just select a recruit and just recruit the exact MO5 that you want, which is really nice. This is actually going to be starting on December 18th, so do keep your eyes peeled out for that. All of these events are going to be starting in the next couple of weeks, right? So you don't want to miss out on that. And that is going to do it for this update content, guys. See, we tried to make it short and sweet for everybody, but the last thing I'm going to leave you guys on is this. In 2026, the dev team did confirm that we are going to be getting a slew of new episodes, new event content, and perhaps new systems as well that are going to be implemented to the game. And if you don't want to miss out on any of that content, do be sure to subscribe, because we are going to be covering everything as it goes live. So thank you all so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Take care.